Hi, my name is Mark Minukas, and I recently co-wrote a book titled Unfear with my business partner Gaurav Bhatnagar, and it's all about how to create sustainable change in organizations that drive both performance and well-being. I'm not a typical person to write about a lot of these topics that we have in the book. I started my career as an engineer, and then I spent time in the Navy as a civil engineer, a Seabee, and a diver. And then I moved into management consulting about 15 years ago. And for about the last 6 years, I've been managing partner of Co-Creation Partners, which is a small consulting firm focused on creating culture change in organizations. I have learned over my life and in career how important the human dimension is to creating real sustained change in organizations. I didn't always think that way. I used to think that the technical solution was always the right one, but I've come to realize over time how important the human dimension is and the culture is to creating any real performance and well-being of people in any system. And I firmly believe that you can do both at the same time. One idea I would love to put out there and get you thinking about is how change needs to happen from the inside out. A lot of times leaders in organizations and people in my profession, management consulting, tend to focus on the system first, the outer parts of the system, thinking that that's the way to create change. And that has to do with incentive structures and processes and all the outer trappings of how organizations do their work. And there's a belief that if you just change things on the outside, then magically the system will change and people will start to think differently on the inside. And in my work, I've discovered that you need to do that in reverse. Creating real change on the outside means we have to start with ourselves and our deeply held beliefs and the stories that we have, and then move to the relationships that we have with other people and how we work in small teams, and then create changes on the outside. And that's a lot of what we talk about in our book, Unfear. It's about how you start with ourselves as individuals and the stories and beliefs that we have around our deeply held fears. And if you can hold fear in a different way and see it as a cue for learning and growth, new possibilities emerge for how you show up and how you can impact other people. And when you're showing up in a different way, seeing more possibilities than there were before, then your relationships can thrive in a different way. And when your relationships with other people are improved, then you can create change in your broader environment. So just to give you a couple of examples of what we talk about at the individual level, we talk about shifting from a victim mindset to one of mastery. Oftentimes people feel like they don't have a choice in terms of what's happening to them. And one thing that we teach people is that regardless of circumstances, you always have a choice about how you can respond. That story that you hold within you about the choice that you have in any given life circumstance can be tremendously powerful. And it's the source of what it means to be an agent of change in any organization. So that's just one example. At the team or interpersonal level, we talk about how to hold a mindset of effectiveness rather than right or wrong. Oftentimes we approach relationships, with the conviction that we're right and other people are wrong, but that never seems to work out. Just a fun personal anecdote from my life comes to any conversations I have with people with a different political point of view. And I've found quite painfully that if you make other people wrong for their points of view, you actually never change other people's perspective. And so I found that in my own life, I need to change from a right-wrong perspective to one of effectiveness. And that forces me or gets me to think much differently about other people and their perspectives and gets me to step into a place of deeper listening. And then in organizations, taking that stuff, another mindset you could hold is, stretching through fear to stretching through purpose. A lot of times leaders believe that they need to create fear in an organization, the supposed burning platform, in order to create movement in the system. And that often works in the short term, but not in the long term. And so we encourage leaders to think, how do you create stretch through purpose and meaning rather than stretching through fear? So those are just a few examples of what we talk about in the book. But again, it starts from the inside out. It starts with ourselves as individuals, the deep stories and mindsets that we hold ourselves, and then transitions out to our relationships in the organization as a whole. And that's the idea that I want to leave you with. And I wish you all the best in any change effort that you're looking to take on.